Hey, what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds. I'm a property investor. I've been investing in property for over a decade, and in this video, I'm gonna be revealing the worst property I ever bought. This is probably hands down the worst house. It is so bad, I decided to do a video about it. Now, many people say to me, Samuel, why do you only talk about the good side to property investing? You're always talking about how to make money and how things go well. And I'm thinking, well, to be honest, it's because firstly, I want you to succeed. And secondly, most of my properties are good. And there's very few properties that I've bought and I've regretted buying. So I'm not going to paint a particularly bad image. I'm just going to focus on what is the truth. However, I do think that you can learn more from bad properties and bad experiences than good sometimes. So if you're going to hit the rocks and buy a rubbish house, at least be a lighthouse to others, which is what I'm being to you right now. So if you enjoy my channel, please do smash the like button. I want to see the blue thumb up. So smash the like button. Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and turn the notification bell on so you do not miss an awesome video where you can learn about property. The worst house I ever bought was in 2012, and it was on Durham Road in Durham. Now, the reason I bought this house was because it was a no money down deal. I strategically, creatively financed this deal in a joint venture partnership, and my brother holds it in his name, and I bought it for £104,000. However, the house sucks on every level. It's a little bit of an old house. It looks kind of nice. And I thought, oh, this looks nice. It's no money down. What could possibly go wrong? But because it's a bit of an old house, I've had continual problems with things like damp. I've had the roofs need fixing. I've spent probably about £15,000 in the last 8 years or so since I've owned it on that property. And on top of that, the house is worth today exactly what it was worth when I bought it back in 2012. So capital appreciation on it has been pants. The maintenance on it have been terrible. But on top of that, to make it much worse, the tenants have been terrible. That house seems to attract awful tenants. Now, not the kind of awful tenants you might think. It's in a reasonably nice area. You know, it's not in a nice area, but it's not in a, trash area with bums and stuff. And I've always spoke to the tenants, they've seemed lovely, but they've just never paid rent. They move in, they'll pay rent for a year, and then they stop paying rent. And I'm like, what the heck? Then I have to evict them, and they make it difficult as possible. It takes 6 months to evict them, and then finally I'm like, it's over. And then I move somebody else in, and the same thing happens again. So I did a calculation on a spreadsheet on that particular property, and over the last 8.5 years, or however long it's been since I've owned it, guess how much profit I've made on that property? I have made nothing. No money. In fact, if you add it all up with the money that I've spent on it and the money that I've made, I'm actually down financially. Right now, and this is what inspired me and prompted me to do the video, that property is empty. And I was like, do I even want to get another tenant? Because the only thing worse than no tenant is a bad tenant. And don't get me wrong, by the way, I know I'm focusing on the bad right now. Some people might say in the comments, just get a management company, or why don't you just do this, or just... I've done all those things. There's always a very small element of risk when you're buying a property. There's always a chance that a tenant will come and they'll have perfect references, perfect credit, and then they won't pay rent. It is possible, it's unlikely, but for some reason this property just seems to have the kiss of death on it. It's empty right now, and my wife went round to visit the property, and guess what? The old tenant has trashed the property. It is filthy, and we're going to have to spend a few £1,000s getting it up to scratch to move a tenant back into the property, which is going to, at best, make us £150 a month profit, which is going to take probably about 2 years to pay for the refurb of the last tenant that trashed the house. Do you know what you call that? You call that a terrible investment. So I'm really upset about this house. I thought I'd share it with you. What are the lessons from this? There's a few lessons. Firstly is, just because a house is a free house doesn't mean it's a good house. It's got to make you money. It's got to cash flow positive. At the time, I was only like 20 years old, so I was growing my portfolio. I was taking on any houses that I could. Now I'm more picky. Now I'd rather put in 10 grand and have a good house that cash flows positive than put nothing in at all, but have a house that's actually potentially going to lose me money. So I think that's the first lesson. Next thing, this is really important. Every time you buy a property, yes, there's a risk, but what's going to happen is you're going to have some properties that perform, and what I mean by that is they're going to perform as expected. So if you expect to put a tenant in and they'll pay this, and you expect the return on investment to be, say, 15%, it's just going to perform nicely, as expected. You're going to have some properties that underperform. Now those properties, maybe there might be a property that's prone to maintenance, or you might have to be a bit unlucky with it, but it's going to be an underperforming property. And then you're going to have some properties that overperform and they're going to shoot up in value, and you're going to have really good tenants, and you're going to put the rent up, and it's just going to be amazing, and you're going to make more money than you thought. Now, this is a really important lesson. Firstly, expect that. Just be prepared that you're going to have underperformers, overperformers, and just performers. That's your portfolio. It's going to happen. Now, it's really important that you don't look at this as an overall portfolio, though. Now, you might think, what are you talking about? Surely you just need to look at the whole portfolio as a whole. Yes, you do, but you also need to look at each individual property. What do I mean by this? Every month, I have a financial report of all of my businesses, all of my properties, and I want to see how much have we turned over, what were our overheads, what were our direct costs, and what were our profit, and what was our net profit percentage. Those are the figures that I want to know every single month on my financial report. Now, my property business, I want a financial report of the whole portfolio, and I want a financial report of every single individual house. You need this. Let me give you an example of one of my students. So one of my students said to me, Samuel, I've got, on Winners Wednesday, by the way, said, I've got 3 rent-to-serviced accommodations and it's making me £3,000 a month. I'm like, fantastic, that's great. And you might assume, okay, so £1,000 each. I said, so you're making £3,000 a month off of the 3 houses. How much is each property making you? I'm not really sure. I said, well, you need to find that out. I told them about how to do your financial reports and the figures you need to run down. And this student was actually a student on my academy, and they went and they did the financial report, and they came back to me and they said, Samuel, guess what? I said, what's that? They said, I'm making £3,000 a month from these 3 properties, but one of them is making me £1,000 a month. The other one is making £2,000 a month, and the third one is making me nothing. So in their mind, they've got 3 properties, they're making £3,000 a month, great, nice portfolio, but actually there's a weak link in their portfolio which needs to be cut, needs to be chopped. And unless you do individual accounting on each property that you have, you won't know where these weak links are. So my advice to you, if you're a property investor, is make sure you know your numbers. Have spreadsheets every single month. Look at what your whole portfolio has made and what the net profit is and the net profit percentage, but then also look at each individual property. And if you've got any weak links, either sort them out, fix the problem, or sell the property and then, or get rid of it if it's a rent to rent, and then find another one which is more like one of your high performing properties. You're always going to have low performing properties, but you want to have as few of them as possible. I hope you found this video useful. If you've got property investment questions, let me know below. I'd love to hear your comments, your feedback, your thoughts, and if you enjoyed the video, as I said before, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. If you want to see more videos like this, you can watch a whole bunch more here, and if you want to hear stories of students that have become successful in property, you can do that right here, and of course you can subscribe right over here. Do that now, and I'll see you on the next video.